Top-down design can be used to add in-context features to components that already exist in an assembly. You can also use top-down design to create components that are entirely new. Let's take a look at how this is done by creating a motor mount bracket for this assembly. The first step is to create a new part. This is done through the Insert Component drop-down menu. Or I can use the Insert icon found on the assembly toolbar and selecting the New Part icon from the drop-down list. Notice that a new part is added to the Feature Manager tree, but unlike these parts, the added component is contained within brackets. These brackets identify that at this moment, this part is a virtual component. A virtual component simply means there's no separate external part file created. Instead, the new component only exists within the main assembly file. When saving the assembly, a Save As dialog box will prompt us to choose whether we save the virtual component internally as it is now, or to save it as a regular component that will have its own external file. At this point, notice as I drag my pointer into the graphics area, a green check appears next to it. If I drag the pointer over a face, notice a block appears. At this point, my pointer has a block next to it. This is a prompt for me to select a plane or a face to begin a sketch on. And this is an important selection for two reasons. The selection I make will become the first sketch of my new part, and it will also become my new part's front plane. This means that the orientation of the new part, its front, top, and right views will be defined based on the selection I make. If you would like for your new part to have the same orientation as the assembly, I'd suggest selecting the front plane of the assembly from the Feature Manager tree. This will ensure that the front, top, and right views of your new part will look exactly the same here in the assembly as they will in the new part itself. Notice that I'm immediately placed into Edit Part mode, and that a sketch has been started on the plane I just selected. In this case, I don't want my first sketch to be on this plane, so I'll exit Edit Sketch mode. Instead, I'll begin a new sketch here on the face of the motor flange. The shape of the motor mount will be defined by using an offset of the flange shape. With the face still selected, I'll click the Offset Sketch tool and specify an offset distance of 0.5. I'll delete the lower fillets and use the Trim tool to extend the line segments to a corner. To complete this profile, I'm also going to create an offset from this edge of 0.05 inches. With the profile complete, I'll extrude this sketch 0.4 inches. Next, I'll create an extruded boss on the face that will provide a way of securing the motor mount to the base plate. I'll sketch a rectangle the same width as the first extrusion, with a height of 0.4 inches. And I'll extrude it 3 inches. To complete this part, I'll create the mounting holes for the motor. I'll select the vertical face and click the Hole Wizard icon. The holes will be 3/8 by 24 tapped holes. To locate them, I'll change the view to look directly at the face and switch to wireframe. This will make it easy for me to reference the holes that already exist on the motor mount flange. I'll click Finish, and the mounting holes are created. Before concluding this lesson, I want to review the external references that were created in this part. Starting at the bottom of the Feature Manager tree, you can see the sketch used to position the holes has an external reference. You can also see the sketch used for the first extrusion has an external reference. This was a result of using the Offset Sketch tool. In addition to these external references, there is another important item in this part that allows these in-context features to work properly. You'll find this item in the Mates folder. It's a mate called InPlace. The InPlace mate is automatically added when a new part is added to an assembly. This is a special mate that completely defines the position of the new part. Notice that if I return to Edit Assembly mode and try to move the motor mount, the component is fully defined without me having to add mates manually.